verse number 125. Asti kaschit swayam nityam aham pratyayalambanaha avasthatraya sakshi san panchakosha vilakshanaha. The Guru starts with Asti kaschit. There is someone. Kahachit. Kaschit means kaschit. Someone. Asti. There is something. There is someone. Who is that? Swayam, which itself. Swayam means itself. Itself means what? That which is itself means which doesn't require anything else for its existence, for its illumination. Asti kaschit. There is someone like this. Swayam. Swayam also indicates that it is self-luminous. It doesn't require any other light. It itself is of the nature of consciousness, chit. Asti kaschit swayam. How is it? Nityam. Nityam, eternal. Eternal, that which is same, constant, changeless in all the three periods of time. Nityam. Generally in Vedanta, we will have two types of Nityas. Pravahi Nitya and Kutastha Nitya. Nitya means permanent, eternal. Something is called as changing permanent or changing eternal. Means what? It changes, but somehow the concept is constant. Example, river. See, river we say is eternal, is always there. But you see, the water of the river is continuously changing. Suppose you are on the river side. You put your hand in the water. You take your hand out. And you again immediately put your hand again. Remember, the two times that water that you touched is different. Though it is within a second you are taking your hand out and again putting it inside, but both the times what you touched, the water is different, but the river is same. So such things which are changing, but they give semblance of being eternal, are called as Pravahi Nitya. Pravahi means that which is changing continuously, Pravaha. But it is Nitya, it is eternal. Whereas, other kind of eternal is called as Kutastha Nitya. Kuta means anvil. Anvil is a kind of iron, iron piece or iron ball, whatever you want to say, which the ironsmith uses as a base. You must have seen. The ironsmith, what it does is, whichever iron piece it wants to bend or put it into some kind of shape, it will hold that in a kind of instrument. It will put it in the fire and hold it on top of this iron piece, strong iron piece, and then will beat it. And when that ironsmith beats, the iron piece which is just heated will get into a shape, but the base remains constant. Kutastha, that which stays like the anvil. Means what? Which does not change. It remains constant. So it is not Pravahi Nitya, it is not changing eternal, it is unchanging eternal. Actually speaking, that which changes is not truly eternal, but that which is changeless is truly eternal. And the self is of that nature that it is unchanging, eternal. It is changeless. Asti kaschit. Asti kaschit swayam nityam. Okay. So first, what is the Guru saying? Asti kaschit, there is something. What do you mean there is something? So there are different schools of philosophy. And one of the very interesting school of philosophy, Darshana, is called as Shunyavada. Have you heard? Shunyavada. One of the Buddha school of philosophy, which says there is nothing. Who am I? I am nothing. What is the world? Nothing. Huh? How can you say nothing? So they say, you see, when you sleep, when you are in deep sleep, when you don't have your mind, you don't have your body, you don't have the world, what do you experience? Nothing. That is what you are. See? So far what we said, I am not the gross body. I am not the subtle body. I am not even the causal body. So who are you? You are nothing. Vedanta says wrong. Wrong. Why? You see, because who knows that there is nothing? Even to experience nothing, there has to be someone. Think about it. Even if you say that in the waking state there are many objects, there are many people, there are many experiences happening. In the dream, the complete dream is projected by the mind and you are experiencing it. In the deep sleep, you are neither experiencing the waking world nor experiencing the dream world. So there is nothing. But I am not that nothing. I am the one who is seeing that there is nothing. So I am there. Think. Suppose I tell you, go and check in that hall, is there anyone? So you go and see that there is nobody. And what do you say? Veji, there is no one. But my dear, you are there. Who is seeing that there is no one? Even to experience nothingness, there has to be a positive entity. Without that, how can the experience of nothingness happen? Who knows that there is nothing? There has to be someone. That you are. That I am. Not the nothing that you are experiencing, but the one who is experiencing that nothingness, the one who knows that there is nothing, one who is the substratum of nothing, that you are. So the philosophy which says that I am nothing, first refuted by saying asti kaschit. First of all, understand that there is something which is different from the three bodies. Agreed. But which you actually are. There is something. It is not nothing. It is not absence. It is a presence. Asti kaschit. And what kind of presence it is? Swayam. It is self-luminous presence. Means what? You don't need something else to know that I exist. Do I need anything else to know that I exist? I don't need anything. Take same example. If I send you to some room and you say that there is nobody, then I ask you next question, please see if there is table in that room. And you reply, I don't know. Why? Because there is darkness. Okay. Is there chair in the room? I don't know, because there is darkness. But if I ask you question, are you there? Can you say, I don't know because there is darkness? No. Why? Because to know whether table is there or not, light is required. Chair is there or not, light is required. Everything else, I need something else to know whether it exists or not. But to know that I exist, I don't need any other faculty to tell me that I exist. Why? Because I am of the nature of consciousness. Asti kaschit swayam. It swayam. Swayam means it itself is. It doesn't require anything else for its existence or for its consciousness. And nityam. Nityam represents that sat aspect, the existence aspect, which is constant in all the 3 periods of time. So there is something, it is of the nature of Sat and Chit, Nitya and Swayam. Okay? Already we have seen one point about the self. That what is that point? Who I am not. That point is already seen. Gross body, subtle body, causal body. And in every discussion he kept telling, you are not this, you are not this, you are not this. You are not even the functions that they are performing. You are not even touched by those functions. Remember? So those points you have to keep in mind. So when it is said now here that there is someone, there is something which is self-luminous, Swayam, and which is eternal, Nityam, don't think that they are talking about the gross, subtle and causal body. No. There is something apart from these 3 bodies, which is my true nature, which is of the nature of consciousness existence. Asti kaschit swayam nityam. Okay. But please give little more clarity on who is this. Kaschit you said, no? Okay, swayam nityam, fine. Tell me little more about it. He says, aham pratyaya lambanaha. Lambana means substratum. Substratum of aham pratyaya. Pratyaya means thought. Aham means I. It is the substratum of the I thought. It is the substratum of the I thought. What is this aham pratyaya? Ahankara, ego, remember? Aham vritti we have seen at that time. That antakarana is classified as 2. Of course, it can be classified as 4, as mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. But then we saw another kind of classification where we said there are only 2 kinds of thoughts. Aham vritti, idam vritti. The I thought and the this thought. We also saw that for all this thought, the substratum is the I thought. Now the self is the substratum of the I thought. So the entire idam vritti, all the thoughts pertaining to the world, pertaining to everything other than me, are supported by I thought. Aham vritti, which keeps providing I, ego, I thought to all the kinds of thoughts. Now the substratum of that I thought is the real self. Substratum of the I thought is the real self. Okay. In Kenopanishad, this will be explained as Pratibodha Viditam. Pratibodha Viditam, that which is known through every single thought. Pratibodha, through every thought. Bodha means thought, there. Prati means through every. In every thought, you can know the self. Through every thought, you can know the self. How? Because it is the substratum of every thought. Why? Because all kinds of thoughts have substratum called I thought, aham vritti. Substratum of that I thought is this real self. Aham pratyaya lambana. What do we mean by substratum of the I thought? You see, mind is inert. Because of the reflection of consciousness, it appears to be sentient. Because of the reflection of consciousness, it gets capacity to know. Correct? So what is a thought? Thought is attempt of mind at knowing. Isn't it? That is called thought. Now that thought appears to be sentient. How? By taking the consciousness from the self. So the moment there exists a thought, that thought is kind of a window to the self. Kind of window. Through the thought, you can know the self. Why? Because the thought is associated with reflection of consciousness, borrowed sentiency. So through that thought, you can reach its root, its substratum, the self. Aham pratyaya lambanaha. The support of the I thought is the self. So how can I know this Satchit Swarupa Atma? How can I know this self which is of the nature of existence and consciousness? I can know it by, what can we say, through each thought. Every single moment the thought comes to our mind, catch that thought and go to its root, go to its substratum, find out what it is standing on. That substratum is me, actually, is the real me. Not the apparent me called as ego. In Gurudev's words, not the small I, but the big I. Capital I. Who am I? The substratum of the small I. The substratum of the ego. The substratum of aham vritti, which itself is substratum for all other thoughts. Which thoughts are substratum for the entire world? That substratum of aham vritti is me. Aham pratyaya lambanaha. So through the thought, reach the substratum of the thought. That's what you are. Asti kaschit swayam nityam aham pratyaya lambanaha. Now, from now onwards, the topic which will be taken is very subtle, because we are not talking about something that comes under the grasp of mind and intellect. Remember this. The self is beyond the mind and intellect. So more and more you try to catch, more and more it will slip away, because it cannot be understood by mind intellect. So what we have to do, we have to stop seeing it as an object which can be known through mind and intellect. We have to start seeing as the subject who illumines mind and intellect. Okay? Otherwise there will be trouble. But we must understand each and every point that Shankaracharya is trying to tell. Asti kaschit, there is something. Swayam, self-luminous, consciousness. Nityam, eternal, existence. And how is it? Aham pratyaya lambanaha. It is the substratum of the I thought. Okay, little more explanation. Avasthatraya sakshi san. It being sun means being, sakshi, it being witness. Witness of what? Avasthatraya, the three states. It is the witness of the three states. The three states of experience which we have studied earlier. Jagrata avastha, waking state. Swapna avastha, dream state. Sushupti avastha, deep sleep state. So when we were studying the three shariras, Shankaracharya had pointed out vibhakti avastha of each sharira, special state of each body. Remember? Waking state is the special state for gross body. Why? Because in that state, the gross body is fully functional. In other two states, gross body is not there. It is sleeping. For subtle body, dream is the special state. That doesn't mean subtle body is not there in the waking. That's not the point. But it is in full function, full illumination, where in the dream. Same way, for the causal body, for the Karana Sharira, Sushupti Avastha, the deep sleep state, is the main state, Vibhakti Avastha. Okay. See now, careful. The Jiva individual, through the gross body, experiences the waking state. Yes, that Jiva is called as Vishwa. Remember, we had seen this concept. The same Jiva, through the subtle body, experiences the dream state. And at that time, it is called Taijasa. Taijasa, dreamer. Waker, Vishwa. Dreamer, Taijasa. Now the same Jiva individual, through the causal body, experiences deep sleep state and is called as Pradnya, the deep sleeper. So the Jiva is going through these three states, experiencing the three states through the three bodies. Okay. Who am I? I am not the Jiva who is going through the three states. I am Avasthatraya Sakshi. I am the witness of the three states. There is a difference. The one who is going through and one who is the witness. There is a difference. What do you mean there is a difference? One who is going through is experiencing and therefore modifying with each experience. Whereas the witness is uninvolved, untouched. See, even in our common parlance, witness we say, no, in law, in the court, etc., they will say witness. Who can be called as witness? One who is not involved in the action. For example, suppose I was slapped by someone. So if I am the victim who is slapped by someone, I cannot be the witness. Oh, but I saw, but you are involved in the action. Your testimony is not considered as a witness. You are part of the whole transaction. At the same time, the person who slapped me also cannot be the witness. Witness has to be someone unrelated to us, who is there, who is witnessing the action happening, who is not involved in the action. No, Vedji, you know what happened? I did not slap, but I made somebody slap. Then even you cannot become witness. Why? Because you are involved in the action. The one who got slapped, the one who slapped, the one who made second person slap the first person, all three cannot be witness. Witness has to be someone who has seen but is not involved. Sakshi. The word is Sakshi. Sakshat ikshate. That which ikshate, sees. Sakshat, directly. Sadhanam vina, without any other means. That which sees, that is called as witness. Means what? You can't even say that I was not present at that moment when this action happened, but I heard that person A slapped person B. If you have heard and not seen yourself, you again cannot become witness. Are you getting? Who am I? Who is the self? I am not the jiva who is experiencing the three states, is going through the three states. I am the witness consciousness, Sakshi Chaitanya, who is illumining the three states. Avasthatraya Sakshi San. I am the witness of the three states. Avasthatraya Sakshi San. And of course, I am what? Panchakosha Vilakshanaha. Vilakshanaha, different, distinct. Distinct from what? Panchakosha, the 5 sheaths. Has this concept of 5 sheaths come before in Vivekachudamani? Might have been mentioned, but might not have been explained. See, Panchakosha, those who have studied other texts of Vedanta know this very well. The same 3 bodies, the gross, subtle and causal bodies, can be reclassified into 5 koshas, 5 sheaths. Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, and Anandamaya kosha. They are like covering on the self. Earlier this topic had come. I had mentioned at that time also. So covering means what? They appear to be the self, but they are not the self. They take the shape of the self, but they are not the self. Just like the sword case looks like sword, covers the sword, but is not the sword. Sword case, you must have seen. It has the same shape. It covers the sword, but it is not the sword. In the same way, these 5 koshas, these 5 coverings, these 5 sheaths appear to be me. They cover my real nature, but they are not me. What are they? Number 1, Annamaya kosha, the food sheath. Food sheath, Annamaya kosha is actually nothing but gross body, Sthula Sharira, which we have seen, which can be perceived. Panchakosha. First is Annamaya. Annamaya means the gross body. Why gross body is called as Annamaya? Because it is born from food, it stays in food, it goes back to become food. From where is this gross body born? From the brinjals and the carrots eaten by your parents. From that food only the body is formed. Now how is it sustaining? How is it growing? By food. And when it dies, when it perishes, it becomes food for other living beings. Annarasenaiva bhutva, annarasenaiva vriddhim prapya, annarupa prathivyam yad viliyate tad annamayah koshaha sthula shariram, says Shankaracharya ji in Tattvabodha. It is born from food, it grows by food, it becomes food for others. So the gross body is Annamaya kosha. Now the subtle body is divided into 3 koshas. Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, and Vijnanamaya kosha. We have seen the components of subtle body, isn't it? The 5 organs of perception, the 5 organs of action, the 5 pranas, and Antakarana. 4, Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. Correct? Now reorganize these into 3. So first is called as Pranamaya kosha, the vital air sheath, which is having pranas and the organs of action. So the physiological functions, pranas, physiological functions, respiration, digestion, circulation, reverse reaction, excretion, etc., etc. But they are combined with what? With the organs of action. So pancha prana plus pancha karmendriya together form pranamaya kosha. Manomaya kosha means what? Mind. When you say mind, chitta is also included, and organs of perception. So organs of action were covered in pranamaya, organs of perception come in manomaya. Mind, chitta, mana and chitta, mind and memory, and 5 organs of perception. Vijnanamaya kosha is intellect along with ego, and again the 5 organs of perception. They are part of both, because for both they are required. That is called as Vijnanamaya kosha, intellectual sheath. So the mental sheath, intellectual sheath. And the last one is called as bliss sheath, Anandamaya kosha. What is this Anandamaya kosha? Karana Sharira, Avidya, Vasana, all that we have seen, that itself is called as Anandamaya kosha. So if you can see, Sthula Sharira is Annamaya kosha. Sukshma Sharira is reclassified as Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha and Vijnanamaya kosha. And Karana Sharira is called as Anandamaya kosha. Earlier we have seen that I am neither the gross body, nor the subtle body, nor causal body. Now Shankaracharya says, Pancha kosha vilakshanaha. I am that self which is distinct from these 5 sheaths. Means what? I am not the 5 sheaths. Okay? So, asti kaschit, there is something. Swayam, of the nature of consciousness, self-luminous. Nityam, eternal, of the nature of existence. Aham pratyayalambanaha, the substratum of the I thought, substratum of the ego. That from which ego borrows the sentiency, that is the self. From whom he borrows. Avasthatraya sakshi san, it being the witness of the 3 states, witness, uninvolved witness. Panchakosha vilakshanaha, it is different from the 5 sheaths. Okay? This is the nature of the self. So to say, the self is being defined here. So to say, definition. Why? Because it cannot be defined actually. It can only be pointed out. But so to say, it is defined. Now, let us understand one more concept. What is a definition? Lakshanam. In Sanskrit, definition is called as Lakshanam. Oh, what is a definition? What do you mean by definition? A definition is that which separates the defined object from all other objects. A definition is a combination of words, obviously. What does it do? It separates out the object that we want to define from all other objects. Okay? Vyavartakam lakshanam. In Shastras, we have definition of definition. What do you mean by definition? Vyavartakam, that which separates out. Separates out what? What it is not. So that what it is becomes clear. That is called as lakshanam. A definition is that which separates out the object from all other objects that it is not. That is what is called as definition. Now this definition is of 3 types. One is called as Swarupa Lakshana. Swarupa Lakshana. Second is called as Tatastha Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshana. And third one is called as Atad Vyavritti Lakshana. Atad Vyavritti Lakshana. Let us see one by one what do they mean. Swarupa Lakshana. Swarupa Lakshana means definition by nature. Definition by nature means what? Definition which doesn't say anything other than its nature. So when you read the definition, it should just tell me what it is. That's it. Nothing else. That is called as Swarupa Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshana means, Tata means bank of the river. Stha means staying. Through one thing, something else is pointed out. So I want to define object A, but I am defining object A through object B. Not by defining what object A is, but I am defining it through B, through something else. That is called as Tatastha Lakshana. Careful. Swarupa Lakshana explains the nature of the object. That's it. Tatastha Lakshana points out to the object via something, through something. Tatastha. Atadvyavritti Lakshana means you are neither giving the nature nor pointing it through something, but you are just saying what it is not. Atat. Atat means what it is not. Tat means that. Atat means not that. Vyavritti, you are removing that. Not this, not this, not this, not this. Okay? That is called as Atadvyavritti. So, three types of definition. Swarupa Lakshana, Tatastha Lakshana, Atadvyavritti. Let us see the examples, then you will get more clarity. Swarupa Lakshana. Sugar is sweet. See, sweetness is nature of sugar. It never leaves the sugar. Remember that sugar may be in a cubical form or in a powder form, in a liquid form. In whichever form it is, the form may change. Sweetness doesn't change. So, sweetness is the nature of sugar. So, when I define it by giving its nature, I am explaining it as Swarupa Lakshana. Atmabodha, one verse is there. Prakashor kasya to yasya shaityam agner yatoshnata swabhava satchidananda nitya nirmalatatmanah arkasya prakashah. Sun's light. Shaityam, prakashor kasya toyasya shaityam, coolness of the water. Agnehe yatha ushnata, the heat of the fire. This is the nature of that thing. Light is the nature of sun. Coolness is the nature of water. Heat is the nature of fire. So when I am defining that object by explaining its nature, it is called as Swarupa Lakshana. The verse says, Tatha, in the same way, Swabhavaha, Atmanaha Swabhava. What is the nature of the self? Satchidananda Nitya Nirmalata. It is of the nature of existence, consciousness, bliss, ever pure and eternal. This is the nature of the self. So when I am explaining the self by giving these words, I am mentioning it as Swarupa Lakshana. So Swarupa Lakshana is definition by nature. Tatastha Lakshana means what? There is something that I want to define, but I am pointing it out through something else. Standard example that is given in the Vedanta is, suppose you want to point out to someone which is your house. You are on a terrace and you are seeing so many houses, and you want to show to your friend which is your house. So you say, you see that house where the crow is sitting? That is my house. Now what are you doing? You are not explaining the nature of the house. But through the crow, you are pointing out the house. Why? Because there is a relationship between the house and crow at that time. Now what the person also is doing, you see, the person wants to know your house. You are pointing it out through crow. So first the person perceives the crow. Through the crow perceives the house. Once the knowledge happens, now the crow is not required. Next time, if some third person asks this second person, hey, where is that first person's house? Will you search for the crow? No. Now the crow is not required. At that time, through the crow only you came to know the house. Why? Because there are so many houses. How to otherwise distinguish? They all look same. So using the crow, it was pointed out, the house is understood through the crow. Now the crow is not required. Tatastha lakshana. So sometimes the self will not be defined by giving its nature. Sometimes the nature will be given and therefore it will come under Swarupa Lakshana. Sometimes the self will be pointed out by explaining something else or via something else. Here you see, carefully here you see, Asti kaschit swayam nityam. This is Swarupa Lakshana. Why? Because the nature of the self is mentioned, Swayam, self-luminous consciousness, Nityam, eternal existence. Now see the next two words. Aham pratyaya lambanaha, substratum of the ahankara. Through the ahankara, the self is pointed out, which is the substratum of ahankara. Can you see that? Tatastha Lakshana. Through the aham vritti, ahankara, the self is pointed out. Why? Because it is the substratum of that aham vritti. Next word also you see, avasthatraya sakshi, witness of the three states. So again what is done? Through the three states, the witness of the three states is pointed out. Through the three states, the witness of the three states is pointed out. Avasthatraya sakshi again is Tatastha Lakshana. Then comes the third type of definition. Atadvyavritti. Atadvyavritti means it is neither defining by nature nor via something else. It is just saying what it is not. And when you remove what it is not, what remains, it is the self. So in the definition, it is not saying what it is. It is saying what it is not. Very well known. Neti, neti, na iti, the Upanishadic statement. Not this, not this. These kind of definitions are called as Atadvyavritti Lakshana. Now here you see, Panchakosha Vilakshanaha, that which is distinct, different from the five koshas, that which is not the five sheets. What it is, that is not explained. That is explained in Swarupa Lakshana and Tatastha Lakshana. But in Panchakosha Vilakshana becomes the Atadvyavritti type of definition. Or when it is said that I am not the gross body, I am not the subtle body, I am not the causal body, this is called as Atadvyavritti Lakshana. See, remember, in any kind of Lakshana, we are doing Vyavritti only. We are removing what it is not. But is the definition of that nature, that is what is different. See, when I say that self is of the nature of existence, what am I doing? I am removing all the things which are non-existent or apparently existent. When we say self is eternal, I am removing all the impermanent things. Yes, true. But what kind of definition it is? In all definitions, I am removing what it is not. But how is the definition? Is the definition giving the nature? Is the definition pointing it out through something else, or is the definition just telling what it is not? In all three kinds of definitions, actually what I am doing, I am removing what it is not. But what are the words saying? Based on that, definition is of three types: Swarupa Lakshana, Tatastha Lakshana, and Atadvyavritti Lakshana. And in this one verse, self is pointed out through all three Lakshanas. Swarupa Lakshana is also given, Tatastha Lakshana is also given, Atadvyavritti Lakshana is also given. Asti Kaschit Swayam Nityam Swarupa Lakshana. Aham Pratyayalambanaha Avasthatraya Sakshi San Tatastha Lakshana. Panchakosha Vilakshanaha Atadvyavritti Lakshana. Remember the definition of Atma in Tattvabodha. Atma kaha sthula sukshma karana sharirad vyatiriktah tatastha atadvyavritti lakshana. Panchakoshati tassan atadvyavritti lakshana. Avasthatraya sakshi tatastha lakshana. Satchidananda swarupasan swarupa lakshana. Yastisthati sa atma. Same thing, same author is same, isn't it? Shankaracharya is just putting it in a different way here, saying Asti Kaschit Swayam Nityam Aham Pratyayalambanaha Avasthatraya Sakshi San Panchakosha Vilakshana. Right? So here the self is pointed out through Swarupa Lakshana, through Tatastha Lakshana, and through Atadvyavritti Lakshana. Some more explanation will be continued in the next verses. What is Shankaracharya talking about? He's talking about us. Okay? Our discussion is happening. We are the hero now. The central character of the entire text is me. Okay? Please feel that and then try to understand. Sufficient for today. We'll continue in the next session.